Welcome and thank you, everyone. It's really, just continues to be a very humbling joy for me to be able to offer this in this virtual way and to get your feedback to see that it's still working. Sometimes I'm still amazed at that. So good for that, and thank you. Two things, those of you that don't know, I'm down here in South Florida. And last night and tonight, we're having these thunderstorms that come in very strongly, and the power went out last night for a bit. So there's always a possibility of that the internet connection will not maintain. So if it goes off, I haven't just got bored with the whole thing and decided to take up guitar or something. No, it's the electric. So that and I just had one of those, those life-teaching moments before class that I'll share with you. I'm reading this lovely book that I brought with me called The Island of Sea Women. It's just really delightful, and it sort of ties in with James Nestor book that I read about deep sea diving, the free diving. These were free divers in Korea, these women. So I've been reading it, and before class, I decided I might read it for a little bit to relax before class, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, looked in every spot in the place, and I couldn't find it. So I just gave up, and I thought, who knows? It disappeared. And then lo and behold, I had put it under my computer to give it a little height, to get the angle just right. And I thought, that is the universe giving the simple metaphor of the seeking of awakening, or the seeking of enlightenment, that we, in our wisdom and our vastness and our eternal infinity, we hide something. We hide our awakening, we hide our enlightenment, we hide the knowledge of the nature of our true self. We hide that. And then we go about looking for it, but all the time we really know right where it is. And then when we find it, it's not a big deal because we're the ones that hid it. So it's always lovely when that happens, when we forget that we hid something and then we find it. And it's just this lovely reminder, that we can relax, and ultimately it will be revealed. Good. So with that, the way I would like to start and how I would like to open it is I have a lovely poem that I would like to share with you, but I would like you to take a rolled blanket, but not too deep. We're going to roll it up a little bit more later on. So what I would like you to do is take a blanket and just have a nice firm roll that's only going to apply a very mild amount of compression, pressure into the low back. And then, like I said, later on in the class, we're going to roll it up a little bit more and go a little bit deeper into the lumbar area. So the towel that I'm using, I know a lot of you may or may not be able to see it, but it's only rolled maybe like 3 or 4 inches. So it's a nice firm roll, but enough to just apply some light compression, mild compression. So once you have a roll, just sit on the floor in front of it, keep your feet on the floor, and then just take your time. We're not in a rush at all, ever, to feel into it. Yeah. So I have this right above the sacrum, as low into the lumbar as I can. And then the first thing is to allow the upper body to relax back. And then when you relax out the feet, you'll see you can make adjustments. So this is almost nothing. So I would just come up and I would just roll it up a tiny bit more. Yeah. So I have, again, just a mild, gentle even compression, and that's perfect. So I can just stay here and really do more relaxing than being preoccupied with the compression. So if you feel a preoccupation or not safe in any way, then please roll it down a little bit. If there's nothing happening, roll it up a little bit. And then just allow the legs to relax out. Allow the arms to find a comfortable place. Oh, there was one other thing that I did want to share with you that Louis was able to post that video onto the website that I was talking about on Friday, fascial magnification 25 times. Dr. Gamberto's footage of the fascia, the fascial body magnified, but with subtitles. And Louis said that it is, this video footage is worth 100,000 words, which is very true. I highly recommend that you take a moment or two to watch it. And then things that I say about the fascia will then sort of have a little bit deeper meaning and understanding. So it's beautiful to be able to explore our body in this sort of ache and pain and anatomical way, but also to know that we're, through feeling safe and relaxing into the body, we're also working into this, brilliant, energetic body as well. So having some understanding and some knowledge and some relaxing and just receptivity, we find our own individual balance. So just relax now. I'll let your breath soften, and I would like to share this poem with you. Alone with the Alone by Henry Corbin. Listen, O dearly beloved, I am the reality of the world, the center of the circumference. I am the parts and the whole. I am the will established between heaven and earth. I have created perception in you only in order to be the object of my perception. If you then perceive me, you perceive yourself. But you cannot perceive me through yourself. It is through my eyes that you see me and see yourself. Through your eyes, you cannot see me. I have shown myself to you so often, and you have not seen me. I have made myself fragrance so often, and you have not smelled me. Savorous food, and you have not tasted me. Why can you not reach me through the object that you touch? Or breathe me through sweet perfumes? Why do you not see me? Why do you not hear me? For you, my delights surpass all other delights, and the pleasure I procure you surpasses all other pleasures. For you, I am preferable to all other good things. I am beauty. I am grace. Love me. Love me alone. Love yourself in me alone. Attach yourself to me. No one is more inward than I. Others love you for their own sakes. I love you for yourself. And you flee from me. Dearly beloved, you cannot treat me fairly, for if you approach me, it is because I have approached you. I am nearer to you than yourself, than your soul, than your breath. Who among creatures would treat you as I do? I am jealous of you over you. I want you to belong to no other, not even to yourself. Be mine, be for me, as you are in me, though you are not even aware of it. Dearly beloved, let us go toward union. And if we find the road that leads to separation, we will destroy separation. Let us go hand in hand. Let us enter the presence of truth. Let it be our judge and imprint its seal upon our union forever. Always we have the opportunity when we start to relax and to trust into a safe place to explore the energy and the just the delicate nature of the breath. Yeah? And so we have unlimited, really, ways to do this. So I would suggest, at least for the rest of the time we're in this, and we'll go in and out of this a bit and reverse it a bit, but just take a little bit of time here and only focus on the exhalation. So after you're completed your exhale, just notice that the inhale can take care of itself. We don't have to take that little extra breath in. So in any way that you would like, exhale as completely, as long, as fully as you can. Certainly do this gently. And then just notice how it affects the inhalation. If you just leave the inhalation alone, it will just naturally respond to a more focused exhale. So just take a little time and do this very gently. No element of forcing. Again, you're just doing this to open up some of the applications of the breath as you're feeling them. So just stay with this roll in the lumbar if you're able to a little bit longer. If you need to adjust it and bring it down a little bit, this would be a good time to do that. If you're able to stay with it, just bend the knees and put both feet on the floor, firmly on the floor, and then very slowly let both of those knees just fall over to the right. So a little bit of a reclining twist, but obviously we have the compression of that roll into that right lumbar. So if you're feeling this a little bit more, that's certainly intentional. And adjust the feet as you will. And certainly in this approach, to really cultivate a very deep and I would say authentic quality of relaxation, it's very important not to try to create any idealized state, any idealized physical state. We're not trying to improve anything physically, no element of a mental state. We're not trying to clear the mind in any way. No sense of changing our emotional state. As a matter of fact, we invite any feelings that arise from the interweaving of the physical and the mental. So we're not trying to cultivate a state. We're just trying to allow as much space for all of these states to arise and then explore them as we will. Some of them, they arise and we just allow them to keep floating by. Others may have a bit more density to them or a bit more trigger to them. And then we can allow breath and mind to weave and explore them, to kind of permeate them, to soften into them. But never necessary in this approach to cultivate any kind of predetermined ideal state. It's to be as present as possible with whatever your experience is. And this also goes for distractions. This also goes for, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. What is he talking about? So that's what's arising. That's as a valid an experience as any other experience. We just make space for these experiences. Let them surface and let them dissolve. So you can bring those knees up if you'd like. And since we've been in the lumbar for a while, and after this twist to the right, I think it's nice just to let the legs relax out before we do the other twist. If you'd like, you can go right to the other side. You'll just be there a little bit longer. You can relax the legs out. You could maybe pull the knees up to the chest and sway a little bit, have a little bit of intuitive, gentle movement. And then whenever you feel ready, we'll put the feet back on the floor in front, and then we'll let the knees, both knees, gently fall over to the left. And then anytime it feels unsafe or you've gone past an appropriate range of motion, you can always prop up under that left thigh, that left knee, so you're not going too deep too quickly. Too deep too quickly in this practice is always counterproductive. Anytime we even get close to forcing a system that just will not be forced, it turns into something else. So really honor the uniqueness of what your body is trying to communicate to you through all of these modalities that it has. And you can simply float in and out with your breath. Or if you would like, you can again bring a bit more emphasis to the exhalation and nothing to the inhalation. Just let it happen. So part of this is really beginning to discern the energetic difference between the inhale and the exhale. So eventually we can move into balancing the length of the inhale and the exhale. This helps us to start to feel our own personal lung capacity and how that relates to our moods and our energy shifts. So understanding and feeling the relationship between the length of the exhale and the natural receiving of the inhale is really a good place to explore. And I would suggest, and maybe the numbers are different for everyone, but when you think you're completed with the exhale, typically you can go for 3, 6, sometimes 8, 10 more seconds. There's a little bit of more air. The respiratory diaphragm has a little bit more flexibility on the end of the exhale. So just explore. We're not pushing, but we're trying to move away from habitual breathing as well. Good. So let's bring those knees back up. And I think it's high time we remove this bolstering from the lumbar. So you can put your feet on the floor once again. Again, have any movement, make sure that muscular tightness feels okay to move. And then you can elevate the hips and just remove the bolstering out from under. And let's just take a few moments. We're not going to take a longer rest here. We're going to kind of counter this, but let's just take a few moments to make sure we're good here in the lower back area. And then if you will, let's roll to your side and just come into a simple child's pose. So you can come into child's pose uh, any way that you would like, really. Just a simple child would be coming forward with the forehead on the floor, the arms either forward or let's keep the arms forward based on what we're going to do next. But always, if you need a little support for your child's pose, feel free to, support the upper body, especially if the knees are feeling a little creaky. But this is the counter to that lumbar compression. We always want to remember this is a very gentle forward bend. So just to feel something of this forward bend and a bit of unwinding into that lumbar area. So Adrian and I were talking about Stephen Harrison before class, and my very favorite Stephen Harrison quote is he says that we are born cold, naked, and hungry, and then things get worse. So from here, I'm going to give you two choices depending on how your hips are feeling. So if you're willing and able from the child's position, we're going to just open the knees to the side. We're not going to come into frog. We're just going to come into a wider knee child so you can see the hips can relax down. Yeah. And then we'll spread the arms out and we'll take the left hand and just put it under that right armpit and relax on that left shoulder. You may want to keep this right hand forward for support because towards the end, what I'm going to invite you to do is use this right arm to support yourself and straighten both legs out so we're flat on the belly. But however, if you're not so keen on this wide knee child, I completely understand, then just do that now. Just straighten the legs out, but keep this left arm under that right armpit and just relax the body down. So you're basically getting the same shoulder compression just without the hip opener. And then you may want a little something for your head if you're doing this version with the legs straight back. So basically, right side is relaxed over to the right, flat on the belly, and the left arm is under that right armpit. Or you're in a wide knee child with this upper body twist. This is a lovely twist to kind of counter that reclining twist that we just did. And oftentimes this the feedback that you're getting is moment to moment. So never feel in this approach that you have to just hold yourself still, kind of freeze and you wait till it's over. There's always a very gentle, personal, it's very personal because it's unique to how you're feeling between everything softening and relaxing and just having a very open receptivity to the posture and then feeling unsafe or uncomfortable or awkward or I wish this wasn't happening or a preoccupation with the sensations. So we want to back off as much as we can from any awkwardness, any preoccupation, and just feel like the body is able to, through the relaxation, through the letting go of the preoccupations, the body is able to just organically reveal itself. We never know where it's going to take us or what it's going to reveal. So the posture is not static. We're not using the body to get into a yoga position. We're using a yoga position to get into the body. So honor that and make any kind of adjustments that feel appropriate. The sensations that you're experiencing have just a very powerful intelligence. So if you're in a really interesting place with the wide knee child and you'd like to stay there, please do. We'll be here for a little bit longer. The other recommendation would be this would be a good time to just relax both legs out. So use some pressure support for that right arm, straighten both legs out, and then again, allow that right shoulder, that right hip to come over. So we're not laying on the left side, we're as flat as we can be, a little support for the head possibly, and then we'll just relax into this, still into this left shoulder. And part of the challenge is that we're so conditioned to react to the sensation, to interpret the sensation, to believe that we already know what the sensation is representing. So part of the challenge is to let that interpretation go and just feel, just experience what the sensation is without the story that we've been layering on top of it, and really honor that it has something valuable to share with us. Because the sensations in the body, not only are they incredibly wise, but things are always shifting. Systems, conditions, processes. So sensations that were giving you information yesterday or last year, things shift in the body. And in its wisdom, it's finding different and better ways to get your attention. So this is what we want to do. We want to almost come into a neutral, not knowing place in terms of these sensations. And this can be anywhere from something we think is chronic and it's always been there, to an injury, to, oh, I know where that's from. This is the kind of conditioning I'm talking about. It's not necessary. Your body has a depth that's almost inconceivable, and we want to sink in and relax into this depth so we can be open to learning. So now indeed, let's use this right arm. And if you're still in that wide knee, just bring yourself up. And I'm going to recommend to just walk the knees back together. If you're flat on your belly, again, support with that right arm, slip that left arm out, and then again, come into child's pose. So wherever you're at, we're going to wind up back in child's pose so we can get ready to do the other side. And here it's nice. I like to sway the hips just very gently, left buttock over left heel, right buttock over right heel, just to kind of feel this lovely SI joint, hip flexor, sacral pelvic area. It's all in this, very interesting dance of compressing and tightening and releasing and opening. So sometimes the movement, when we've been compressing, we can sort of wash in or flow into some spaciousness here. Even if it feels incredibly dense, there's a good deal of spaciousness there. Look at that magnification video, and you will see the actual spaciousness in the body is it's just very beautiful. Good. So let's do that again. We're going to open the knees again. And this time we'll obviously we'll stretch that left arm out for support. Take the right hand arm, put it under that left armpit, and we'll just rest on that right shoulder. If indeed you're wanting to stretch the legs out and be flat on your belly, chest, that's fine. Just try not to roll onto the right side. Keep as much weight, the body flat as you possibly can. And then we'll stay here for a bit, and I'll invite you then all to straighten out the legs if you so choose. And another way of saying this really is that, and whether this is physical or psycho-emotional, yoga is not about fixing problems. Yoga is about making a small shift in eliminating the problem. So if we're approaching something physically, emotionally, or psychologically as a problem, we have to find a way to fix it. Yes, we have to eliminate it. If we can just reframe something and realize that that discomfort is an invitation for exploration and healing, then we no longer have a problem. Then what we have is we have a doorway. So we've eliminated the problem. Yes, the discomfort may still be there, but then this becomes a doorway to exploring how to heal it, how to transform, how to give something more attention or help or love. So part of the gift of this practice is it exaggerates areas of the body, mind, heart that may be uncomfortable. And the reframing is that this is not a problem. This is an invitation. So once again, if you're in a good place and you want to stay right where you are, please do. Also, you can just straighten your legs out and relax those hips and just keep softening in. So we'll use that arm for support if you're making the adjustment. If you're not making the adjustment, you're just fine. Good. So let's begin to release. And again, if you're still in the wide knee position, try not to slide them back together. It's good to walk them back together, just not to shock the hips too much. If you're flat on your belly, let's slide that arm out from underneath, and you can just roll over on your back. If you've come back into child position, just again roll over, straighten out the legs, and let's all come to flat on the back, and we'll take a bit of a rest here. Good. So if you have any props or bolsters or anything under the legs or the back of the head or the midsection, just let's remove everything and just lie flat. We're going to come into a half crescent. So from here, what we'll do is we'll just walk the heels, both heels, over to the left, keeping the knees straight. So we won't bend the knees. We'll just walk both heels over to the left. And then once they feel grounded, you can bring the upper body over as well. So you're creating this half crescent shape with the entire body. The right arm can come up over the head, but try not to let it dangle. So make sure the back of the hand is on the floor somewhere. So we want the arm to be relatively relaxed. And you can either stay this way with the legs, or you could take that right ankle and just put it over the left ankle. But again, try not to bend the knees. So this will just pull. You'll see where this will pull. The left arm can just be anywhere it wants to be. The right arm is over the head, sort of completing the crescent, and just relax. It's very interesting, the way that we choose to explore, this whole mechanism of the body and the mind. I think as a base, it's good to explore the difference between the subtlety between language and thoughts and energy. So sometimes we just think they're all the same thing, they're just one thing. So the language that you hear externally, but also the language you use to maintain this ongoing commentary, this ongoing inner dialogue. Very subtle difference between language and thoughts. Very subtle difference between language, thoughts, and energy, especially in an ultimate way. So when we use this language, this convenience of language, it's having an effect. Yes, it's having an effect when we allow these thoughts to become, obsessive or preoccupied. It's having an effect, and we get to see how it ripples out into our energy field, and how that energy field ripples back into our texture of our tissues and our cells and our bones. So with that being said, what is this thing that we call energy? Yeah, so we have a language, we have a thought, and then we have the energy itself. So where does this energy come from? What is the source of this energy? This energy comes from nowhere. This energy is just simply an expression of infinity. So don't allow your language, don't allow your thoughts to limit this expression of this feeling of energy. So when you start to tell yourself a story, when you start to think yourself a story, just go to the energy. Just allow all of the structure around what you're feeling to fade into the background, and just keep going to the energy. The energy doesn't need a story. The energy doesn't need a framework. So if you do have that, the ankles crossed, you can bring that, uncross the ankles and start to walk everything back to a straight spine here. And we'll just take a moment and then bring the upper body back as well. So we'll just come to a straight spine, yes? Maybe a little wiggle or a wobble. And then when you're ready, same thing, we'll just walk the heels over to the right this time. And once they're grounded, we'll bring the upper body over as well. This time the left arm up over the head. So at least the back of the hand is on the floor. We just want the arm to rest, but continue that shape. And then either keep the legs straight without bending the knees, and then you can put that left ankle over the right if you'd like, and we'll complete the second side. And this in itself is a very great opening to exploring this sense of self, this is starting to tease away the story from the energy, starting to be able to experience your energy without the layering and the conditioning and the programming of the story. So we're not trying to we're not actually exploring the energy. Yeah, typically we're exploring the story about the energy. So let the story relax, let the story fade, and keep going to the energy. What does this feel like? And this is lovely to know that the energy doesn't come from anywhere. The energy is just this infinite expression, an infinite expression of itself. This is what we're feeling: energy, prana, life force, consciousness. It doesn't matter the words or even too much story, just feel it. So once again, if you do have the ankles crossed, let's uncross them. Let's then begin to walk the heels and bring the upper body back to straight spine. We'll take a few moments to rest here. that poem that I shared when we opened our practice, Alone with the Alone, um, when I started reading that and decided to share it with you for class, it reminded me of this definition of yoga that I used to play with early on when I was convinced that if I could just come up with the right definition, I would know what yoga is. You know, that's kind of like looking at a sunset and thinking if I could just hold on to that particular color or that cloud or that movement of the sun, I'll know what a sunset is. When it's just like a gestalt, a sunset. Yes. Same thing with yoga. So, but this definition is worth playing with, is that yoga is the unification of perceptual opposites. So what's interesting about this definition is the word perceptual, because it's not suggesting that yoga is a unification of opposites, because yoga is just the opposite of that. Yoga is no opposites, no separation. But what this definition is suggesting is that perceptually, yes, we have these perceptions, and that is their specific function, is to go out and create opposites, create separations. This is a fine thing. If we want to follow a recipe or we want to drive a car, we want these perceptual opposites in place and functioning. If we want to bring our sense of the world inward, if we want to rest in this inner space of wholeness, of contentment, of peace, of unification, then we allow these perceptual opposites to relax. We realize they're just simply a tool. Hearing of sound, touching of objects, seeing colors and movement and shapes, these are just tools. So this is the meditation of yoga. The meditation of yoga is to bring the outward inward. And then we no longer need those perceptual opposites. We can just sit and relax and feel, intuitively feel that we are the breath, we are the heartbeat, we are the world, we are the universe, we are the cells in the body. The unification of perceptual opposites. This is yoga. So let's come on up, please. And let's take that blanket that we began with, that hopefully we didn't fold up too high, so it was a mild compression in the lower back. And now we're going to roll it so it's going to create a moderate compression. So what I did with my towel is I just rolled it all the way up, and I just know that this is appropriate for my lower back. Again, play with it, experiment with it. And what we'll do is we can just put that behind us. We're going to use it after we come forward a bit. So just have it ready if it's maybe the same as we started with, if you're feeling tender or working with an injury, or maybe you're ready to go from mild to moderate. So just have that behind you once you roll it up. And then we're going to sit in front of that roll, and it will be hip to hip, yes, horizontal. And we're going to extend the left leg out. But what I would like to suggest is, instead of where you usually extend it, I'd like you to come off on an angle, maybe 10 or 20 degrees, to open up the hip in a little bit more exaggerated way. So it's not way, way out. So from hip width, just open it and relax it just a bit. Yeah, I don't know, 10 or 20 degrees based on what, just a bit. And then the right foot, don't put it where you used to putting it. Yeah, bring that down a little bit more. And if you're already putting it towards the knee, the right foot on the inside of the left knee, go down a little towards the calf. If you're way up here, maybe above the knee. So again, we're going to open up this hip. I just want to kind of play with the angle of the range of motion. And then start to bring your upper body forward in a very slow, gradual way, that you start to feel the tugging. Yeah, I was talking more in depth last class about the fascial barrier. And this is where you just start to feel mild discomfort tugging, and we don't push too far past that. So we'll support with blankets or pillows, relax the head down, and we'll just come into this little different angle of this half butterfly pose. And then we can readjust it after a while, but I just kind of want you to feel this. I had a very interesting email the other day from someone that just started taking class just on YouTube. So I've never met this person. And she said there was this one particular pose. She said she's been doing yoga for 20 years. She's always done this pose the same exact way. She was always taught a very universal alignment, that this is the way that we do it. And so she heard what I was recommending, to question universal alignment and just make a shift, just let things relax, just fall into your body intuitively. And she said she felt this pose in her body in ways that she had never felt after 20 years of yoga. So the questioning is a universal alignment, because everybody's skeleton, everybody's degree of holding tension is different, and start to cultivate an individual alignment. So I'm just sort of exaggerating this just to kind of give us a little taste of, wow, if this feels different because we opened the leg and placed it a little bit differently. This is just a sort of expanding the the angles a bit, playing with the angles of the range of motion. And even that, we don't want to make a rule about that. So sometimes it's very appropriate, and this is exactly what the body is really craving, is just to fall into the groove, the pattern that we're used to doing. And it's just like just putting on some really comfortable clothes and you just relax into the body. But we don't want to make that a formula either. So we want to have the range to explore our range of motion. We want to know what happens if we come out of that comfort zone a bit. So comfort zone is interesting. It can be very relaxing and very therapeutic, but also coming out of a comfort zone can also provide us with some information and with some growth. So the edge of the comfort zone is often the edge of our growth. And if you'd like to reverse that focus on the breathing, so we can also then just focus on our inhalation, just gently bring the breath in, but just let go of anything with the exhale, and just notice how then the exhale is now responding to the inhale. But actually, all we really need to do, and I think not only in a, a specific yoga posture or a yoga practice, but I think always is to just be curious and grateful for our breathing. And it's amazing once you start to just open that curiosity and feel this incredible gratitude that we're breathing. The breath can lead you, the breath can guide you. So it's just an openness, just as we're, open to exploring and open to learning about the way the body is responding to these different positions. The same thing when we have various emotional, psychological, physical states. How is the breath reflecting that? And can we then, weave our consciousness? Can we weave our breath and our mind together and just explore the breath in a loving and curious way? It's really quite amazing. Okay, so let's come on up from here. And let's straighten out that right leg. I'm hoping we had that left leg extended, so we'll straighten out the right leg. And then check in with the roll that you place behind you. So sometimes they unroll or fold a bit. So the tighter the roll, the better. And we'll find out if it's appropriate when we get down there. So always good entering these compressive back bends is to put the feet on the floor. And I like to hold the bolster secure so it doesn't slide away. And then snuggle where you need it. So we're going to be hopefully a little bit above the sacrum, not too high up, right in that lumbar curve. Feet on the floor, then allow the upper body to come back. So usually if this is going to be appropriate before you straighten out the legs. So if you need to come back up and readjust, yes. If you're good, then explore letting the legs relax out. So, and then hopefully, we've gone a little bit deeper in terms of in relation to the first one where we were just mild. So feeling supportive, feeling compressive, feeling like it's not only this particular area, but your body and your mind has a very generous receptivity to this compression. A generous receptivity. And I'll be very honest with you. I don't know for certain that energy comes from nowhere. I guess I've just never been able to find it. So if you want to go looking for the source of energy, feel free. I would just maybe, caution you that if you do find it, it is probably a story. So make sure you have the capacity to discern story, superimposing of thought, mythology, belief system, philosophy, religion onto something that is just infinite and expansive and without form. So you can continually revisit how the exhale is responding to the inhale, how the inhale is responding to the exhale. Or you can just sink deeper and just feel that your tissues themselves are actually breathing, that your heart is physically and energetically vibrating. And every time you have an image or a thought, that your brain is filled with light. So whatever you're exploring, just relax, just feel, listen. And part of the curiosity about exploring energy as this expression of infinity is what we want to explore, very, very fundamentally, and again, not as a theory or as a mythology, but directly. What we want to explore is this energy that in and of itself, its fundamental nature is that it is not fragmented, it is not dissipated. There's no such thing as good energy or bad energy. So then we get to see, this energy, this expression of infinity, I then have to superimpose a fragmentation, anxiety, fear. So we open up our options for exploration. We don't try to come up with a formula, but we continually just feel into things energetically. Oh, I'm beginning to become angry. What's the energy there? Before I start telling a story about the anger, I'm beginning to become fearful. What's the energy there? The same thing on the other side. I'm feeling elated. I'm feeling blissful. I'm feeling very high and connected. No need for a story. What is the energy of that? So it's a weaving and it's a pulsation. And we can not only explore this, but we can start to see that we have habits around this. So if we're not feeling this flow of contraction and openness, if we're not feeling the free flow of energy through the system, we can go back and look at the habits of mind, the habits of heart, the habits of body that are inhibiting this free flow. So yoga essentially is an exploration of our energy, or just, I shouldn't say our energy, of just energy. Because at this level, the personal energy, the micro energy, and the cosmic energy, the macro energy, are really the same thing. That's the yoga. So what I would like to suggest now is I'd like to just do a little bit of movement, but if you can put your feet on the floor, and if it's possible to very slowly bring the hips up and get this roll onto your pelvis. Let's see if I have enough room just to show this a bit. Yeah, so up onto the pelvis. You can keep your upper body where it is, but what I'm going to suggest now, well, let's just relax the legs out for a moment. Just let that chi sort of disperse from the lumbar up and through the pelvic sacral area down the legs. And then from here, if you can just bring the soles of the feet together, as if we were going forward in a butterfly pose. So soles of the feet together. And then I'd just like you to start, I guess the best word is just bob the knees up and down. Very, very gently though, very, very gently. So knees up a couple of inches and down, knees up and down, up and down, up and down. And then if you'd like, when this starts to kind of seep in, you can bring them up a little higher. Keep the soles of the feet together, but you can bring the knees up higher and just rock them and let them fall back down into the weight up. So just sort of play with this just to, move these threads of motion into the contraction and the resistance that we may feel in this area of the body. So there's many ways to do this. This is also really nice for the sort of release a little out of the psoas, just a little bit of movement. You can go one side a little weighted, the other side back and forth. You can bring the knees up higher, let them drop. And it's interesting with the relationship between the stillness in a posture and the movement, is it's really hard to find a a boundary between stillness and movement sometimes bodily, because there is always nuance and subtle movement, and it's just an interesting thing to, you know, to really get very nuanced about our bodies. Good. And then let's bring the knees up, feet on the floor, reach under, elevate the hips, remove that roll, and just let the legs relax out, and we'll just stay here for a bit. Hopefully we won't forget to finish and do the other side of that forward bend. I think that's a good idea, but let's just rest here for a bit. Good. So let us come on up and let's do the other side of that. So let me be a little bit more clear. So what I'm suggesting with the right leg is to bring it out a few inches to where you normally put it. Yeah. So if you normally put it out a few inches, you may want to come in a few inches or go out even a little bit further. Yeah. So I just want you to alter the way your skeleton sort of naturally goes, or where you habitually go. And then the left foot, the same thing. If you're used to bringing it way up, bring it down a bit. So just find a different place. And what I was trying to also say is at some point in this, because I want it to be different for everyone, if you could stay here the whole time, but if you do indeed choose at some point to just come up and go back to where you're used to going, your, you know, sort of mechanical, not mechanical, but the place that you typically go to, then feel free to do that. So you can keep it this sort of unusual thing I'm asking you to do the whole time, or you can come up and go to your favorite place. You know, so we all have our favorite positions. Yeah. So, but let's start a little out of the groove, and then just coming forward. Same thing with the upper body. If you're used to placing it in one specific place, you know, bring it off a little to the left or the right. You know, there's plenty of discomfort to go around. So you can just find it and explore it and let it tug a little bit. Sometimes I think that humans were just in these bottomless bags of discomfort. So I mentioned, you know, relative and ultimate a bit ago. And I just want to say a little bit more about that, because if we're, really opening to exploring these sort of, places that language cannot really capture, but language just sort of points to something that we can't really articulate. Uh, this is a good concept to sort of hold things for exploration. So I was talking before about language and thoughts and energy. So another good example would be our cells and our tissues and organs and our energy. So in a relative sense, these are different things. Yes, the cells, the molecular level, the tissues and organs, and then the energy. But in an ultimate sense, these are the same thing. So same thing with our language and our thoughts and our energy. At a relative level, yes, language and thought and energy seem to have boundaries and distinctions. But at the level of the yoga is the ultimate level, we can relax and see that we cannot honestly find those boundaries. We often have to work hard to keep these boundaries. The body does it for us with cells and tissues and energy, but in terms of our languaging and our thinking and our energy, we often have to hold certain boundaries. This is why we develop opinions and belief systems. So just like any contraction and expansion, just like any sense of pulsation, give yourself that freedom. We don't need to confuse these two. We're very open to exploring our mind and our body and our heart and our spirit in a relative way, but we also have the opportunity to explore it in an ultimate way. And that's precisely what that poem was about. It was an exploration of our yoga in an ultimate way. Yoga, the unification of perceptual opposites. We don't want to unify those perceptions when we're driving down the highway. When we're sitting quietly in this sacramental expression of infinity, then yes, indeed, we want to allow those perceptions to come into unification. We want the time to sit into wholeness and infinity and consciousness and awareness in a pure way. So we do have a little more time here. So if you do want to release and withdraw a bit and make a little skeletal adjustment, this would be a nice time to explore that. Good. So let's come on up. And we can straighten out the leg and let's take a rest. So just make yourself comfortable. You can lie flat on your back. You can come into a child's pose, a fetal position, wherever you're most comfortable. I'm not sure, but I suspect that maybe all of this talk about infinity and energy today came from my morning meditation. So I've been lucky enough to be able to get up at sunrise and do my meditation and my yoga actually on the beach in the morning. So this morning, I just intuitively, I started just watching the waves, just as they start to form and just follow one wave. And what I was doing is as the wave was forming and cresting, I was just imagining myself that I was that wave. And that wave that I was had this certain personality, had certain dietary preferences, had a new haircut, had an amazing sense of humor, and on and on and on. And that was me, and that was the wave. And then the wave just crashed and went back into the ocean. And then all of that baggage was gone and I was just the ocean. I was just undifferentiated, this sacramental expression of infinity. And then again, I'd open my eyes and another wave and go through all of these, just all of the self-image stuff. And again, that was me, and it was fine to be the wave, and then it was fine to be the ocean. And it's just such a beautiful rhythm. We can breathe to that rhythm. We can feel our heart pulsate to that rhythm. And it's just lovely to, use our practice to create that kind of flow, that we're not trying to get rid of something and replace it with something better. We're not trying to improve, but we're trying to feel that life itself, just like the ocean, has a very natural flow. The nature of life is always changing, always, always. And so how do we attend to what we need to attend to? But how do we then let go of that need to attend, the habits and the anxiety, the things that are no longer serving us, and just rest in this contentment? letting go of those perceptual opposites long enough to feel this wholeness, to feel this expansiveness, to feel the purity of our consciousness. And then again, consciousness then forms another wave, and we feel, there I am again. So it's a way to cultivate rhythm, internal rhythm, external rhythm, mental rhythm, emotional rhythm, and physical rhythm as well. You know, we don't want to stay in a yoga position forever, although sometimes it feels like it. We want to also get up, and we want to dance, and we want to eat, and we want to whatever we like to do. Okay, so let's come on up and bring those waves up, please, and we'll see if we can go back to the ocean. So this next thing, like I told you on Friday, I didn't bring my big and little bolster with me, so I've just been experimenting with what I have. And so bear with me. If you have the big bolster, go with the big bolster. And then what I'm going to suggest is a couple of things. If you don't have the big bolster, then build some sort of edifice like this where you can pretty much support your whole body. Yeah. So we're going to come back over it. So you know what the big bolster looks like. So we're going to make an approximation of that. So a couple of things. I'll just show you the first thing. If you have and I'll show a variation if you don't have enough pillows or a big bolster, how to do it. So do bear with me. But if you have the big bolsters, I want to show you two versions of this. So I'm going to sit on the end of this, either the big bolster or these two lovely pillows that I have, and I'm going to come over them lengthwise so the end catches the middle of my back. Yeah. So this is the first version of this. So this is right into my mid-thoracic spine, the end of that bolster. Right, it's really on my scapula, which is fine. If you would like, after we did all that backward bending, because sometimes we go either way. We go, it's been enough backward bending, no more, or it's sort of release something. I want to explore a little bit more depth. If you want to explore a little bit more depth, then take that roll, and I'm suggesting a roll because you can adjust it more than the small bolster. So take your roll and put it right into the lumbar area. Yes, this is lovely. This is lovely with the big bolster, but I don't have one. It's lovely with this as well. So we're going to come over this just as we were doing that lumbar with the roll, but we're on the bolster. But now I'm coming into the mid back, and this little roll is like pulling. It's a tractioning feeling. Yeah. So this would be the second version of this if you want to add that roll into the lumbar with the end of the big bolster into the mid spine. Okay, so that's if you have enough pillows. If you don't have enough pillows to replicate what I just showed, then take your blanket or your towel, I'm using a towel, and fold it up so it makes a nice thick pad. So I folded this up many times, and I've sort of made it in the shape of one of those yoga blocks. Yeah. So this will then, we won't have any lumbar option with this. So we'll just put this in the mid back. Yeah, nice and high is good. We've been in the lumbar a lot, so don't go too low. Go right up to the shoulder blades, and then you can let the head come back. If you need a little something for the head, the neck, don't strain there, and just put a little pillow under the head or another towel or something. But this is lovely too. It serves the same purpose as the first version of what I showed you. It just doesn't have the length of the body support. So, but it's just lovely. Yeah. So either a pad, folded towel in the mid spine, or those the pillows or the bolster mid spine, and then the option is the little roll under the lumbar. And before the wave that is you completely melts back into the ocean, let's just take this opportunity when we have the diaphragm in a nice open way to go back to that initial focus of just exhale. You don't have to be forceful with it, but be complete with it. And don't do anything with the inhale. Just watch it naturally take in from the preparation of the exhale, and just kind of play with this a little bit. This is the yin breath, the exhalation. This is the breath of release. This is the breath of balance. This is the breath of relaxation. This is allowing some of the upper body tension, top of the chest tension that the breath is often associated with, to release down through the lower belly. So just exhale, a bit of focus, not a lot, and then don't worry and just notice that the inhale will just very naturally respond. And what I mentioned earlier, sort of half joking about, sometimes I think as humans we're just these bottomless bags of discomfort. Uh, that's not necessarily a negative thing, because what we're really really trying to grasp is the opportunity to have pain and discomfort support our practice. So this is a shift. This is a reframing for many of us, and especially if we're involved with the aging process, because some of this is just inevitable, that we're going to feel contraction, that we're going to feel resistance. So how do we then take that fundamental response of the body and let it support us, and let it guide us, and let it inform us? And this takes great sensitivity. And in many ways it is a reframing. We have to open not only the body, the contraction of the body, but the contraction of the mind. In Friday's class, Christine was showing me that she's reading one of the books on the recommended explorations, that the healing power of illness. And one of the basic premises of this exploration is that everything that we're experiencing, from a body to a mind to a heart, to even our spiritual identification, is simply a contraction of consciousness itself. So again, we exist relative, we exist ultimate. We're a wave and we're the ocean. So at the level of the ocean, at the level of the ultimate, we are just simply undifferentiated, pure, expansive, infinite consciousness. That consciousness to have an experience begins to contract, and we are the result of that contraction. So you may say that the contraction is hiding the book. Yes, we know we're this ultimate openness. We know that we are this divine presence, but we decide to play hide and seek. So we hide that knowledge from ourselves. We become a wave. We contract. A wave is a contraction of the ocean. So the same thing in a relative level with these aches and pains in the body. They're not there to punish us. They're a natural ebb and flow of this openness and this contraction. So how can pain, how can discomfort, emotional, psychological, or physical, support our practice, whatever that practice is? This is fundamental reframing. It's a beautiful way to look at our practice. And then we really do honor the positions, the asana, and not going in too deeply. We honor the fascial barrier. We honor the individual uniqueness of our body. So we're at the right place at the right time at an appropriate depth to then open up the doorway of this exploration. And hopefully you won't or don't remember everything I said. I'm not sure that I do. So the shorthand for all of what I just said is yoga. Just like the shorthand for our willingness to slow down the breathing is patience. So let's put the feet on the floor, whichever combination of bolstering you have, and just have a little bit of movement. Also, it might be nice to bring the arms up over the head and just let the shoulders open, lengthen the spine. Maybe have a little movement with the knees back and forth. And then when you're ready, let's just roll off of this. So just roll to your side. And this time, just come to the fetal position. Let's just curl up and rest here. So we're going to keep moving, but let's take a rest curled up. And again, feeling this, especially after the back movement, just to feel this is has the subtlety of forward bending. Sometimes it's really nice to remember that the spine is not straight. It has these lovely cushioning, spring-like four curves in them. So when the lower spine, the lumbar spine, starts to lose its curve, the entire spine loses some of its cushioning. And so when we're walking, just that lack of shock absorber quality puts more tension in the body, more compression in the body. So a lot of the backward bends in the yin, the slow holes, because it's very structural, is meant to start to reestablish the lumbar curve. So we have all four of these springs working together. So sometimes what I'm saying is it's nice to feel from a backward bend into this sort of forward bend, and like, oh yeah, I can feel that it has a articulated springiness to it. It's not straight. And from your side, let's just come on up. So push yourself up and roll forward. And let's open the legs out. Oh, maybe as wide as you're able to, and then bring them in 2 or 3 inches or so, depending on how your hips are feeling. If those hips felt really open and released a bit from the wide-eyed child. Where is the wide-eyed child? The wide knee child pose. You may want to go to your whole range of motion. So I just don't want to pinch them coming in. So backing off a little bit is good. And then whatever support you need coming forward, if coming to the hands or the forearms are not so accessible, bring in as much support as you need. And again, just come to where you feel that, just a little bit of density, a little bit of contraction, not so much discomfort. We want to ease into that. And then we'll just come forward. Try to relax the head. And if you need to support that, fine. It's nice sometimes to let the weight of the head dangle into the upper spine. And I suppose the moral of the story then is, no matter how beautiful, majestic, powerful the wave appears, it's still water. It never is not water. And so a melting back into the ocean is a relaxing. The water is the water. You are always you. And dearly beloved, let us go toward union. And if we find the road that leads to separation, we will destroy separation. Let us go hand in hand. Let us enter the presence of truth. Let it be our judge, and imprint its seal upon our union forever. So let's come on up, please, from this forward bend. And your choice to either come into final Shavasana and relax, or to sit up with me for a few moments, and we will take some time to close our practice in stillness and silence and equanimity. Namaste.